Hello everybody and welcome to my first Muvluv discussion video. Today we're going to be talking about Muvluv Extra. I've 100%ed this game, so we're going to be doing all of the routes and we're going to be talking about them in the order that I've read them. This story was absolutely ridiculous. It was very different to what I expected it to be, and also a lot of the romance, a lot of the themes that are explored are really quite nice. So there is a lot to talk about today. And also, if you guys have ever heard of Kimi ga Nozomu Eien, I read that before Muvluv, and that's kind of the prequel. Well, not really prequel. It's just the work that released before by age. And there are quite a few references to the game. There's actually a few characters that reappear. I've got this folder of all of the references that I found from Kimi ga Nozomu Eien. So yeah, at the end of the video, we're also going to be talking about how those visual novels are similar. But yeah, anyway, let's begin the discussion video because oh my god, we're going to be here forever, and that is not even an exaggeration. So yeah, Meiya's route first, and just in general the common route. Here we go. Oh shit. So yeah, the first thing I need to say about Meiya's route is just how ridiculous it begins. It makes it so fun. And oh my god, when I was reading this at first, I was just thinking, what the fuck have I started? I just did not know what to expect. And I'm going to be honest, I think that was good because I thought at first when I saw Sumika and Takeru's day, I just thought it was going to be just some sort of peaceful slice of life. I don't know, kind of like Higurashi in a way, just normal. Didn't expect it to be like this. My God, I thought Meiya was just going to be some sort of new person that transfers and we meet, and then we find it hard to decide whether we can pick Meiya or Sumika, and things get complicated, drama happens. That's what I was thinking. I did not expect any of this. I mean, my god, the Mitsurugi family is absolutely crazy. Seriously, they do everything in the most extravagant way, and it doesn't help that, especially in the beginning, Meiya has no idea of, I mean, for example, in this CG, what the fuck, waking up in somebody's bed right next to them, even though you've never met them, could mean. Yep. Meiya's family definitely would do a good closed room if Meiya could easily break in like that. Can I just mention? But yeah, anyway, so we have the beginning of Meiya coming in, and then we have obviously the first school day. We have introduction to all of the characters, and just in general, the feast that we have at lunch as well. We have Sumika and Meiya just totally competing in the ways that they can, and especially with the chefs as well. Just so many of them, so many world-class chefs coming to school to make this random kid a lunch. I mean, if that doesn't say anything, I don't know what does. Yeah, I always thought at the beginning that there was something extremely suspicious with how everything was changing. Now, at the last part of the video, I've actually read some of Muvluv Unlimited, so I'm going to discuss what I think all of this means. But, yeah, it's just... Oh, shit, what was I talking about again? Oh, yeah. Okay, so I actually thought it was really suspicious that all of this stuff was happening to Takeru. I mean, I thought maybe it could be because, for example, Meiya's from the future, and I mean, look at this. I mean, they can do all of this in a day. They clear all of the area, they build a massive mansion, they only do it in a day. I mean, how could you not think? Oh yeah, and this fucking 60-meter long limousine, and obviously at the end of Meiya's route, all of the stuff in, I don't know, the Mitsurugi house as well. How could you not think that they're from the future? And I don't know, I just thought it was some sort of something like that, and maybe Takeru was a really, really important person, and Meiya needs to, I don't know, change him in some way. Again, I will discuss what I think that means at the end of the video. Because I have a theory. But yeah, it's just so funny how insane everything is. And it's not just that as well. It's just how completely illogical everything is. Like, I mean, for example, we've got Tsuki? Did I really just say that? Tsukuyomi. And we also have the three idiots as well. And yeah, there are a lot of gag characters actually. Yeah. It just adds to the entertainment. But if I'm gonna be honest, I was at first taking this story seriously, and then I was just really wondering whether I should actually take any of this seriously and just sit back and enjoy the comedy. But obviously, when we get to the lacrosse game, that's when I thought, yes, I can take this story seriously. But yeah. Another part that I want to mention is we have so many indications that Meiya is just from completely different background, and she just has no idea about how everybody lives in the commoners' society. Yeah, and that's why all of these experiences are some of the most valuable experiences she could have. In every single route, even if we don't pick Meiya, she's really thankful to us, she's really grateful, and obviously she says goodbye, and she's probably in a lot of pain when she does. And that's just because of all of this, really. So, yeah, then we have the cooking competition, and funnily enough, Meiya is the only person who hasn't made her meal herself, which is quite interesting, and it just kind of adds to the point that I was saying. I mean, okay, there's no rule about not making stuff yourself, but ultimately, yeah, she just used her resources in the way she could, really. Um, and yeah, obviously, I mean, if I'm going to be honest, when I think about the cooking contest, out of all of the meals, I would pick Chizuru's if I was deciding on kind of what people went through to make the meal. But if it was in terms of general taste, fuck yeah, I'd pick Meiya's. Hell yeah. I think the one that I would not pick is Sumika's. I mean, I think that's obvious why. And I think I would prefer Miki's to Ayamine's just because it's okay, it didn't look the nicest, but it did look really interesting and it's just unique. So I think it would just be a real experience eating something like that. Anyway, then we get the date, which is hilarious. I mean, my god, the haunted house scene. I just think it's so funny. In every single date scene, there's some part where Meiya just obviously is spying on us, and then everything goes wrong. I mean, oh my god, in the date with Sumika and the ridiculous shit with the stage performance of the Power Rangers or whatever it was, and then Meiya thinking it's a genuine threat. And also, oh my god, in Miki's date as well, the one where we have that massive whale shark, and the whale shark somehow has affection towards human beings and then poses a safety risk. And funnily enough, the fucking attendant of the aquarium is completely useless as well. If something happened, she would have been to blame because she just said, "Oh yeah, it's nothing, it's nothing." yeah, that worked. Anyway, quick reminder to myself: I am meant to be discussing Meiya's route. So the date and Yuta, it is that his name, Yuta? That little kid. I think so. But yeah. It reveals how kind Meiya is as a person and how motherly she is as a person as well. And I don't know, it's just kind of surprising to me. I mean, I don't know much about Meiya's backstory, but I just never really would have thought she would have had much opportunity to care for people. So, well, to care for people like a mother would, like she did there. So, it's just interesting that she does it so well, and she does it so naturally as well. But I suppose that just shows how kind she is, ultimately. And yeah, I suppose there's all of that, and obviously they eat like commoners. Um, And then we have the next kind of turning point of the plot. Obviously, Chizuru and Ayamine's roots after the lacrosse game are they kind of diverge, and Miki's route obviously does as well. But yeah, the lacrosse game is really the lacrosse game. That was really hard to say for some reason. Anyway, yeah, the lacrosse game is really quite interesting because it shows a lot of it just really highlights a lot of people's personalities. I mean, obviously, oh god, Takeru is so hard on Sumika. He should just stop. But yeah, there's obviously the rivalry between Ayamine and Chizuru, and can I just mention I don't know why, but I like calling Ayamine and Chizuru by her first name. I don't know, I just like that instead of calling her K. It just sounds cooler. So that's what I do. But yeah, and then we see Meiya as well and how ridiculous she is, literally smashing the goal in half. And it's just so sweet how we do all of this with Chizuru because ultimately we are a good friend. And that is a common theme. Takeru is just a really good person, even though he is a bit of an idiot and obviously he should be trying way harder in school and he's lazy and stuff like that. Yeah, sure. But when he actually needs to be and when a situation demands him to be, he is really, really good in terms of his personality. And it's just so cool how everybody gets together, everybody does their absolute best, and all of the early morning starts as well, not something Takeru is not used to, and the training, and yeah, it's just so engaging, and it's just really, really fun. Just the anticipation to the finale of the lacrosse match. And if I'm going to be honest, I thought from the beginning that they were going to win, just considering how much they were training and how much everybody cares as well. And obviously, how much Takeru can motivate them. I really like the this part of the lacrosse match as well because it just really makes you question Ayamine's personality. Because at first I thought, oh my god, she's not here. Has she really been that much of an arsehole to Chizuru? I just thought that you would have to do something like that if you really just didn't have a care in the world for anything, and if you weren't the most human of a person as well. But no, she does come in at the end, but it's interesting that she doesn't because she just feels like she's going to be a hindrance. She's not going to be liked because obviously, even though everything has gone to a point like this, Chizuru and Ayamine still can't work together, so she's just going to be a hindrance. But no, it really isn't like that. And I really like the powerful motivation that Takeru does because he just speaks his mind. Like he just doesn't care about anything. He just speaks his mind, and that helps people realize just how wrong they're acting and just how they need to win this game to kind of unify everything they have together. And it's really cool. And it's interesting in Meiya and Sumika's route that we win the lacrosse game because Ayamine and Chizuru work together. Unlike in, obviously, ironically, Ayamine and Chizuru's routes. And then we get the parts after the lacrosse game, and it's just the parts where you feel really, really bad for Meiya because she tries her absolute best to kind of do what Sumika does, and I suppose she kind of realizes how impersonal a lot of the stuff she does just as a way of saying thanks to Takeru is. So she tries to be someone she's not, and obviously she feels really shit afterwards. She tries so hard, and I feel bad for her. If I'm going to be honest, I will ask the question of how can somebody as clever and logical and just in general as wise as Meiya have so little practical skill that she can't follow a recipe? I will ask that question, but I suppose she can't, and she just doesn't get it. And I mean, I suppose she's had people cooking for her whole life, so of course it's going to be more difficult for her. But yeah, it's really sweet seeing her character development here, and I like it as well. I think Meiya's character development is actually really quite nice, especially just as the more she learns about the way commoners live. I hate using that expression actually, but that's just the most easy way I can kind of distinguish between people like me, I don't know, people that are not rich at all, and people like Meiya. People who probably have, I don't know, families with fucking 10-figure salaries or something ridiculous like that. Anyway, now we get the ridiculous hot spring event, and of course organized by the teachers. If we actually put into some sort of academic setting, no, not academic setting, some sort of genuine legal setting, I wonder how many times these teachers, well, Yuko and then Marimo kind of, I don't know, just tagging along, how many times they have broken legal conduct as teachers. Yeah, it's hilarious. But yeah, obviously we have in this part we have the rivalry between Sumika and Meiya really emphasized, because a lot of the time before we could tell that Sumika was getting a little bit more clingy. She was being just, she was feeling quite sad that Takeru was kind of drifting towards another person. But at the same time, Sumika really revealed her true nature, if you ask me, because she's a good person. She didn't. Is there an example I can think of? Not really. Not on the top of my head. Yeah. Unlike, I don't know what some people would do, just completely retaliate, completely just become an arsehole to the other person and become annoyed at them. She understands what Takeru wants and she does what's best for him, and ultimately she becomes friends with Meiya, and she's really quite nice, and they kind of treat this whole love thing kind of like as a battle, and kind of as a rivalry as well. And I just think it's really interesting how that theme is kind of portrayed throughout all of this. And then, oh my god, the limestone cave scene, that's also really nice, because obviously we overhear Sumika and Meiya and them basically confessing about Takeru. We get that scene as well, with Sumika just realizing herself that Takeru doesn't really have feelings for her, when, yeah, that awkward scene with, well, when something happens and her towel becomes loose. If you guys remember that scene. Yeah, ridiculous scene that actually has plot relevance. But yeah, then we have the limestone cave scene, and we see a real contrast on how people think, because ultimately Takeru just thinks, I mean, obviously like all of us would, he just thinks that Meiya's way of living is wrong, and it's just not right, because it's just a life of discipline. You don't really have freedom yourself. You just have to do goals and responsibilities that your family prescribed to you from before you were born. And also, you have to do something you have no control over. You have to work ridiculously hard. I mean, when Meiya said that she had already completed, I think it was university she had already completed, I didn't doubt what she said for a second, because ultimately that's the Mitsurugi family. I mean, obviously, you're born into a position of immense responsibility. It's just not fair, and it's just interesting how that really, really hurts Meiya's feelings. And yeah, it's just, especially how Takeru just, I suppose, they just really clash, and how that kind of causes her to become upset. And yeah, I remember that bus journey on the way back as well. Oh my god, I'm talking about this like I've actually experienced these events in person. But yeah, I remember the bus journey back as well. Where we have Marimo and Yuko, more Yuko, just totally saying there needs to be a decision made. It's just so funny, by the way, that Yuko literally oversees everything. I mean, she saw things from the start when she asked if it was a question about whether you were going to have Meiya's lunch or Sumika's lunch, and she said it in a really roundabout way. She saw everything from the beginning. That's really cool. And yeah, she was just saying you need to make a decision. And then yeah, we have the final part of the plot. So we have Meiya becoming really illogical, really emotional, and that's particularly emphasized in the part where Takeru just hears some sort of conversation going on downstairs, and then he goes down to check it out on the pretense of, I swear it's getting a glass of water. And then, obviously, Meiya thinks that he hears something that he's not meant to hear, i.e. the vow, and then she thinks, oh yeah, I'm just going to completely abandon any hope I have of falling in love. I mean, Meiya is ridiculously emotional just because, firstly, she's scared about losing to Sumika, but also because the deadline. Can I just mention? Oh yes, we're going to disrupt the wedding ceremony, but you need a deadline to fall in love with this person. Yeah, the deadline was coming up soon, I suppose, and she was just completely emotional, full of a lack of hope. And yeah, she went. It's so powerful after she goes, just seeing Sumika just really, really hold it in, hold her emotion in to try and convince Takeru to go after Meiya. And then there's Tsukiyomi and bro, I nearly said Tsuki again. Tsukiyomi and obviously all of the um Mitsurugi family that we know of, just completely breaking the rules to let Takeru go to Meiya and obviously give her the future that's best for her. It's amazing, and it's just so entertaining as well. I mean, when we get to the action scenes in Unlimited and Alternative, if they are that action-packed, oh my fucking god, it's like I'm reading Umineko again. Seriously, I will not say no to something like that whatsoever. And yeah, obviously then we completely crashed the wedding ceremony. And I think I will just check this, but I swear the Steam achievement is something like Wedding Crasher or something like that. I will just check. I just remember the achievement having a really funny name. Come on. Right. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, Wedding Crasher. Oh fuck. Anyway, yeah, I think that's so funny. Now, I want to talk about a flaw of this route, because I've only been praising it so far. But before we do that, I just want to talk about the hilarious scene in Meiya's birthday, and Takeru is really lazy, and he either buys a book or fuck, what was it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's so sweet. He buys her a little keychain. Not keychain. Sorry. A little plushie he got from a claw game. In an arcade, and then when they're at the hot springs, she tries to get the matching one, which is quite sweet. It's funny that she found exactly the same claw machine though that had those same plushies. But yeah, anyway, he can also get her a book. I just think it's so funny how he just, I mean, obviously he spends some of his time getting Meiya a gift, but he is so fucking lazy. I mean, this person has been so kind to you. Just at least get her, I don't know, like a box of chocolates or something. Actually, I don't know, would they, I don't know which chocolates they do in Japan. I don't know if that's a tradition they have or not. I don't know. Probably. Or I don't know, get her like I don't know, whatever she like, something you could put on your sword sheath. Getting her a sticker you could put on her sword sheath. Okay, I'm not much better than Takeru, it seems, but yeah, it's so sweet just seeing the ring given to Takeru, because it really just shows so much about how Meiya firstly loves him, secondly trusts him, and just in general cares for him. Anyway, now I would like to talk about the flaw of this plot, and this is something that I'm going to be returning to in every single route apart from Sumika's. maybe Miki's as well, but it's still kind of there. Unrealistic H scenes. I mean, firstly, all of the H scenes are basically exactly the same in the sense, well, what they do essentially is the same. And there's a bit of romance in there. Sometimes it can be a bit touching. And yeah, it's just the sad thing about the H scenes is they're just in unrealistic and stupid locations. I mean, Meiya's scene, for example, Takeru basically disrupts an entire wedding, and there's obviously the really quite powerful reunion between Meiya and Takeru, and then they have sex in a random location that's closed off to everyone because yes, it is. Even though a wedding ceremony has just taken place. Like, I just think it's unrealistic, and it's just what I also don't like is these love stories are kind of realistic in a way. I mean, obviously, Meiya's situation is completely ridiculous because of her family, but she still behaves like a human being because ultimately all of these characters are the same. They are humans. So it just feels so weird seeing such a realistic love story and then unrealistic H scene. I mean, okay, the H scene was alright, and if I'm going to be honest, I think it was interesting seeing just Takeru's rage at seeing this wedding dress, seeing all of these things that showed that Meiya belonged to another man who wasn't him. And it's just interesting seeing how he acts as a result of that. But apart from that, it's just I don't like the setting of this H scene, and this applies especially to Chizuru's route, and also yeah, Kei and Miki's routes as well. But yeah, after this, yeah, we get the end of the story, and we realise just how much of a serious change of life Takeru would have to have in order to be with Meiya, because ultimately he has a position of responsibility now. You don't just love Meiya, you completely change your life and just everything about it so that you can stay with her. He may have loved her now, but in a year or two, when he's succumbing to the ridiculous demands of the Mitsurugi family every single day, is he going to regret it? That's my question. And I really do wonder if, in the long term, he would have been happier with Sumika. I mean, obviously, ultimately, if you love somebody, you are willing to change your life just so that you can be with them, sure. But I just wonder if this life is going to be too different and too demanding for Takeru. I just wonder if he would actually be able to cope with it. I wouldn't. I mean, yeah, you might as well just force somebody in a studying prison. I mean, with a loved one. I would not want it whatsoever. And I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't. Takeru, I feel like he just kind of went with his guts and he just thought, ah, yes, we can just think about all of this stuff later rather than now. Yeah, it's just, I really do wonder. I just wonder if he's going to be happy in the long term in a relationship with Meiya. But ultimately, there's if you guys have spoiler for Fata Morgana here, but you remember when Jacopo goes from completely low society to high class society and he goes absolutely insane? I don't think that would happen with Takeru. I just think his life would become really shit. I think he probably will overcome anything for Meiya, no matter what happens. But yeah. Um anyway, now we're going to be talking about Sumika's route. So Sumika's route is really similar to Meiya's route in the sense that we have the same overall plot. It's just obviously the choices we use favour Sumika rather than Meiya, and they are really quite good, the choices, because just for me on a personal level, because I felt so bad for Sumika in Meiya's route because she would pour her heart into a lot of the lunches that she made for Takeru, even if some of them, I don't know, for example, that one lunch that looked like it was made for a kid. and also that other lunch that oh, which one was it? I was gonna say something, but I completely lost it. Oh yeah. The hot pot. Yeah, you just casually bring a hot pot into class, sure. And then obviously with all of the weird sauces mixed in. I get that it wasn't the most conventional, let's say, but I just still felt so bad that we didn't eat her lunches and instead we ate Meiya's lunches. Because Sumika has cooked all of her lunches herself. Meiya did spend time and she did obviously stay up late at night with Tsukuyomi deciding which items on the menu Takeru would like the most. And obviously then the chefs made them, but she didn't make it herself. So she was thinking of Takeru, but obviously she didn't go to nearly as much effort as Sumika did. So yeah, I just always felt really bad for her. But yeah, apart from that, there's not really that much I can comment on about Sumika's route, just considering how similar it is to Meiya's route. And a lot of the things that I've liked about Sumika's character I've already discussed, to be honest. Like, I don't know, for example, rivalry between Meiya and Sumika. Yeah, Sumika's just kind of your standard childhood friend character, really. Yeah, it's just, I suppose, obviously, she's childhood friend with Takeru, and she's just wondering if she can take the relationship further. And I do feel really bad for her and Meiya's route, especially at the end. My God, she must have so much regret of just having this relationship, having such a good connection with Takeru, and just not thinking of taking it further sooner, because ultimately Meiya never would have had a chance if he already had a girlfriend. Yeah, it's just it is really quite a shame, all of that. But yeah, I just feel like not doing Sumika's route after all that she went through in Meiya's route would just be awful. So yeah, obviously I am happy I did it. But yeah, it's just there are so many parts in just in general Takeru and Sumika's interactions as well that Sumika is just a really fun character as well. She's just kind of one of those she's made fun of so much because she's joked around. She's thought of as the dumb character, and I love. I mean, obviously she's got the ahoge antenna. Yeah, and she's dumb because Takeru keeps on, I don't know, being violent with her. And oh my God, all of those times as well where she just jokingly says, "Oh yes," well, she just jokingly says stuff that's really sexual as well. Like, I mean, I swear it was on the first day where she was just saying, yeah, she wouldn't, she would take off her clothes if it was for Takeru, just ridiculous stuff like that. But yeah, ultimately the ending to Sumika's route was really touching because obviously, even though we had remembered what happened in the park and we had remembered just how much we care about, well, how much Meiya cares about us, and obviously the connection we have, we still pick her just because Takeru thinks that it will be a more sensible choice. Honestly, I think he might have a happier future with Sumika than Meiya, just as, like I stated earlier, just all of the reasons about the family stuff. He's just going to be able to live his normal life and the life that he is used to living. But I suppose there's no problem with going out of your comfort zone in life, of course, but there is a problem with going out of your comfort zone too much sometimes. But yeah, it's cool seeing that date after and obviously this final scene. This part here, this route here, it actually has an H scene that's in a sensible location, and obviously the location isn't just completely ridiculous and just not a place you'd expect an H scene to be in. It just felt like the most realistic H scene, which is a good thing. And yeah, that's honestly all I really wanted to say about Sumika's route. I don't really have much to say about it, but anyway, next we have Ayamine's route. This is the first route I read that was different to the common route, and obviously the first out of two routes that follows the structure with Ayamine and Chizuru's route, because these routes have entirely different structures because we failed the lacrosse match. But Yeah, this route was just kind of one of those routes where I thought, how could Takeru possibly get into a relationship with somebody like Ayamine? I mean, ultimately, she is somebody who is very, very introverted, somebody who's very lonely and just unhappy, let's be honest here. But that's not surprising considering how her life has gone for the past few years. Um, she's hard to read. She's very hard to know if she's taking you seriously or not. And yeah, it's just interesting her attitude that really, really shows she just doesn't care about anything. Um, yeah, so it's just kind of surprising that they were able to get into a relationship in the end. But yeah, it's just they meet because ultimately we are so indecisive about whether we should eat Sumika or Meiya's lunch that we either eat both or we just don't eat anything. Well, we eat both when we're forced to eat something, but when we can bail out, we do. And obviously, we go and see Ayamine on the rooftop. It's just kind of a ridiculous exchange at first. I mean, she is just so weird to talk to, and we go there because we're desperate for food, and Ayamine kind of treats us like a pet. Bit embarrassing, but oh well. Yeah, obviously we don't really know much about Ayamine's personality. We don't know much about who she really is. And yeah, after that, oh yeah, so Sagini is here. Yeah, so then I suppose we have ironically in the cooking contest where she makes the yakisoba hot dog just because she knows that Takeru likes it, and then the date as well is surprising because we have the realization that Ayamine is actually a really good video gamer. She plays Valgun on as well. No way. This is so cool. Does she play it on what is it? What is it? The Game Guy or is it I can't remember. I can't remember how they changed Sony, but do they play it on the Dreamcast or the PlayStation? On the PlayStation 2? Who knows? I love it when video games try to evade copyright. It's so funny. I mean, it's just so pointless in a way because you know what they are referring to. So, what was the point of even changing it in the first place? Or is it just for humor? I don't know. But yeah. It was so funny how late Ayamine was to the date as well. It just really kind of emphasizes that attitude of her just being weird and not caring about anything. But yeah, anyway, after the lacrosse match fails, it is just a hell on earth for Chizuru. I mean, she is being bullied so much by all of those people who have grudges against her for being the class rep, for ordering them around and making them, I don't know, push themselves. And yeah, people starting rumors, people bullying her. Oh my god, that scene where they call her over to the counselor's office. They hijack the counselor's office and they call her over. That's just so horrible. And obviously all of the locker stuff and oh god, the ripped uniforms. Oh, they're fucking lowlifes. They really, really are. And it's just horrible what she has to go through. And ultimately, in Ayamine's route, obviously we care about Ayamine more, but we do worry about Chizuru as well. And I mean, I suppose in the end, Chizuru does luckily fix her problems herself, but it's just so sad that she ever had to go through them at first. So, yeah, basically, the school is a complete wild ground at the moment, and yeah, I suppose it's kind of lucky that Takeru and Ayamine were skipping it more and more. But yeah, obviously everybody is going to the hospital now, and that's just so that they can apologize for Akane. I suppose that they can take responsibility as well for what they have done ultimately. Because I suppose Chizuru and Ayamine not working together, that has caused all of this. So of course they would feel bad and they would need to do it. I mean, if I'm going to be honest, I don't really know what Ayamine actually feels. I think she might have thought that it was more Chizuru's fault, so she might not feel she was as directly responsible. But I don't know. Um, I just know that Chizuru obviously felt a lot of guilt because obviously Ayamine was there to the rescue because ultimately she had medical experience and she could get an ambulance, she could get Akane into a recovery position. Or at least I think it was a recovery position. I can't exactly remember. But yeah, she just feels guilty that she couldn't have done much, even though the person who is opposed to her, the person that, let's be honest, Chizuru always is kind of better than Ayamine in, I don't know, for example, class, because Chizuru's the one getting the work done, Chizuru's the one getting the good grades, and obviously the one who's going to have a better career than Ayamine if she continues to do as well as she is doing. So it must feel really weird for Chizuru just seeing Ayamine excel in something that she ultimately has no clue in. And I do wonder if it's a little bit of jealousy as well. But anyway, quick reminder, this is Ayamine's route, not Chizuru's route. But I mean, the plots are interwoven, so it is kind of understandable that I would go rambling on about Chizuru. But anyway, yeah, it's really interesting because we see Ayamine's reaction to Sagiri. I mean, ultimately, if it wasn't for Sagiri, she would have easily gotten everything over with quickly, and that would have been it. That would have been so simple. Ultimately, she wouldn't have solved any of her problems, but she would have gotten over it, and she would have had no reason to go to the hospital. If I'm going to be honest, sometimes I do genuinely think that these people treat going to the hospital, I don't know, like some sort of fucking religious ritual they've missed or something like that. I just feel like, okay, taking responsibility for what you've done is very important, but I just feel like they take it a bit too seriously. And they just kind of treat it like a matter of life or death. I don't know, that might just be me. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, so we see Sagiri, and obviously how much Ayamine just completely fights Takeru just so that she can escape, just so that she can do anything. And oh my god, there's even the times where she just ultimately they try to go to the hospital together, but she won't go unless Takeru completely convinces everybody that she is already engaged to him. And it's just so wrong in his eyes that he has to lie that much to be able to actually go in the hospital itself. And oh my god, I totally felt what Takeru was feeling. Just the thought that when he realised how serious everything was going on with Sagiri and Ayamine, and how much he cared, just how wrong he felt for lying. And it's just interesting that Ayamine probably realised just how wrong it was as well, but she was desperate and she was pushed. So that's kind of why she felt inclined to do this lie. And yeah, it's all just a really sad story if you ask me, and especially considering that her mother was the one who had not messed up. She was being kind, and look at what happened as a result of her kindness. I really do wonder what her mother must feel, and just how much regret she must have for being kind. What I think's important to note is that Sagiri wasn't entirely a coward. He was kind of a coward for not owning up to his mistakes and making it so that one of his best friends, let's be honest, also, the person who really, really helped support his career ultimately, and obviously his getting out of med school. Well, once he got out of med school, all the financial support as well. He got so much from this woman, and yet he just totally betrayed her in the end. He did try, because he tried to own up, but nobody would believe him, no matter how much he tried. So instead of actually trying more and clearing your name for the people that matter to you, you choose your career and you just say, "Oh yes, nobody's going to be convinced that I did it, even though I did. So yeah, just fuck it." Yeah, it's very, very difficult, this situation, and her mother just, it must be so painful for her, especially considering all of the distance that has been put between her and her daughter as well. Yeah, it's all very, very rough. And what I think is really interesting about Ayamine's route as well is just how much it reveals on Takeru's personality. Ultimately, Takeru has never been in love when he realizes everything that is going on. He's not really done much. He just doesn't really understand the situation as much as somebody like Ayamine would. But at the same time, he keeps on going back. He keeps on going back to Ayamine just simply because of the fact that he cares about her. That's the only reason. He's annoying. He's sometimes you do question whether him being there is just making things worse. But ultimately, he always comes back just because of how much he cares. It just shows how much, well, firstly, how good of a person he is, but also the fact that he's just devoted. He just really wants these people to have an issue that's sorted out. And it's just interesting how in all three characters' routes where this happens, so Chizuru, Miki, and also Ayamine, there is always a time where they just get annoyed for exactly the same reason, which is completely reasonable to consider. But ultimately, Ayamine confronts her issues and she realizes that Takeru is the person for her rather than Sagiri. Can I just mention, when Sagiri and Ayamine had their final chat together and when they actually talked together as well, when she actually felt she could have the courage to do that, I would have assumed that that is the time period where Ayamina actually learns the truth about what has happened and probably hearing Sagiri's perspective fully. I really, really hope that is, because ultimately that will improve the relationship between Ayamine and her mum, which has been cruelly destroyed as a result of Sagiri. Well, yeah, it is as a result of him, let's be honest. But yeah, she probably realised that, and then she probably thought, just, what the hell have I been feeling for all of these years? or at least, I do wonder. I wonder if that could have possibly been some sort of turning point for her. I mean, ultimately, we don't know because we see Ayamine prove herself to Takeru. But I just really wonder how. I just really wonder where the point she decided that this man is just a full of shit. Well, not maybe not full of shit, but just somebody that she should not be associating with really, and especially loving. Now, I think also a bit of a weird H scene, not really my favourite, just again because of the unrealistic location. But what I found a bit weird about this route is the fact that ultimately Ayamine is basically my age. And Sagiri, I don't know, he's near 30s maybe? Or maybe mid 20s? I don't know. He definitely doesn't look that old, but yeah. I mean, there's a bit of an age gap, surely? I mean, Ayamine was what Sagiri was literally Ayamine's teacher and mentor when ultimately everything was going well between the mother and um Sagiri. I mean, why isn't the age gap commented on? It's just not. I wish either Sagiri was a little bit younger so that this story could be just a little bit more easy for me to picture, or the age gap was commented on more. That's just kind of my only problem. I just found it kind of hard to realistically imagine this going on, this relationship. And that's the only reason, honestly. Um, Ultimately, even if that is the case, I found so much of just in general Ayamine's feelings and Sagiri's feelings just to be so realistic and just good as well. They were really well done. Anyway, now we're going to be talking about Chizuru's route. And if you ask me, I genuinely think that this is one of the best. No, it's one of, if not the best route in Muvluv Extra for me. Just because I feel like Chizuru is so well written and there are so many layers to her character and there are so many layers to her family as well. And ultimately, I think the parallels between Chizuru and Ayamine, you can really see them when you see just I think firstly, well, they are very different people, but their lives have been entirely changed by their family situation and in particular their parents. And I think they both have single mums as parents as well, which is sad. But yeah, and there's also just Defiance as well. It's just so weird how they can, well, I suppose how you can relate to characters that are entirely different. And I suppose in both Ayamine and Chizuru's roots, you do still have parts where they realise this and they actually help each other, and their complete rivalry and their clashing becomes less by the end of the route. I mean, for example, in Ayamine's route, she helps to go search for Chizuru when she's at her worst point, and obviously when her life could have turned really, really bad because of that horrible person that manipulated her into going to their place, who was in the entertainment industry. Fucking hell. Yeah, and then I suppose with Ayamine's route, we Chizuru helps us go. Oh, I can't remember what it was. I just remember that there was a scene on the confession tree. In other words, the big tree that's behind the hill of Hakuryo, where they go to search for Ayamine themselves. Oh yeah. That's the last scene, and then oh my god, Takeru's just a complete fucking idiot. He obviously wants the dog to follow, and then he gets himself ran over, and then conveniently finds himself in the hospital. But yeah, so that's the scene there. Anyway, yeah, Chizuru's route is quite something because obviously it starts like all of the other side character routes do. Actually, I don't really know if it's right to call. No, I think you could call Meiya and Sumika the main characters, and then Chizuru and Ayamine and Miki the side characters. I don't know, but it starts the same way as all of the other ones do. And ultimately then we have the cooking as well, which just really highlights how much of a perfectionist she is, especially with how tidy everything is, how orderly everything is. And yeah, then we have the date as well. And if I'm going to be honest, I kind of feel like this is one of my favourite date scenes out of all of them, just simply because it really reveals a lot about Chizuru's personality, and I feel like it does more than the other date scenes, except for Meiya's scene. I think Meiya's date is quite good. But yeah, it's interesting. Those lowlifes trying to provoke Chizuru, she entirely falls for it because ultimately she has a view of the world where how should I put this? Well, she has a view of the world and what she is right, what she feels is right. So if she sees somebody doing something different to that, or if she sees somebody just doing something she knows is wrong, she's kind of like Takeru in the sense that she will speak her mind and she will not hesitate to, well, completely confront these people. She's very strict. She would be a good teacher, to be honest, and ultimately, as we see here, she is a good class rep. But yeah, it's just really interesting how that could have really, really caused something bad. Because ultimately, sometimes when people are provoking you, even though it challenges your view of everything, and even though it challenges you and what you believe in, you need to just stop. You need to just leave them alone because they are attention seekers. And that's ultimately why Takeru is a really good person for Chizuru, in a way. But yeah, that's why Takeru really did save that date as well. But yeah, also about the date, I think Chizuru definitely went to one of the most unusual locations. I mean, she is top grade, she's really intellectual, so it just kind of, I don't know, it just, if I was told that somebody like Chizuru would like an optical illusion museum, then I don't know, I just wouldn't be surprised. Because ultimately it's a very conceptual thing, and I suppose that's how you like to have your fun. It's just something that I'd imagine her doing ultimately. And yeah, I definitely think it was one of the most interesting locations for the date. And obviously now we have the parts of Chizuru's route that make it so good, ultimately after the lacrosse match, everything that happens after that, because it's just horrible. It all makes you feel so bad for Chizuru, and it must have been so awful for Takeru as well. Just being in a situation where you feel so empty, where ultimately this person that you know and care about, their entire life is falling apart just because of some salty arseholes. Ultimately, I think it was really interesting what Chizuru was saying, and how that. So Chizuru was saying, "Oh yes, yes. If you have something against me, say it to my face." Of course, all of these horrible people, they cower away and they don't say it to her face. And then a few days later, when Akane irresponsibly leaves the hospital, I mean, let's be honest, she feels well, but ultimately she can't leave the hospital until her discharge date. Yeah, she says exactly the same thing. They listen to her because she's popular. And my fucking god, it's just something like that makes me so angry. It really does. And it's just a really, really sad story, all of it. And especially seeing how Chizuru, um, well, how everything gets worse for her, really. And, yeah, then, I mean, my god, oh yeah, that's later on. We also see the relationship with her mum, and it's just sad. It really is. Because ultimately, her mum is somebody who has made a lot of mistakes and somebody who was an idiot in their past, but somebody who has grown up and has reflected on it, but at the same time, she's kind of powerless in what she can do to kind of mend her relationship with Chizuru just because Chizuru doesn't respect her much. And ultimately, she's spent her entire life just trying to be a different person to her mum because of ultimately how much her mother has affected her in her irresponsibilities as a parent, really. And it's just interesting how you see this proper talent that she has, and then you just realize that this talent is just rooted in such a sad cause. If you guys have read Higurashi, think about Takano Mio. I mean, I know it's a very, very different character, but it's kind of the same concept, and that's what Chizuru reminded me of, in a sense. Like, in Matsuri Bayashi, I mean. But, yeah, there's all of that stuff as well, and it's really, really sweet how, Takeru just being so persistent and just to the extent that he totally has a fight with Chizuru. Yeah, it's just that that ends well, and in the end, Chizuru's actually able to mend her relationship with her mother, which I think is just the amazing thing. It's just actually really quite cool how no matter who Takeru is with, he improves the life of them so much. But it does kind of make sense. I mean, he is a very, very nice person when push comes to shove. Yeah, it's interesting. One of the scenes where I think they go to Hakuryo just after everything that has happened, and Takeru just goes in the classroom, just has fun with Chizuru, and he just kind of tries to normalize everything with her. He just tries to make Chizuru remember the school she goes to and just try to ease her problems and just make her think that it's not as bad as she thinks it is. Yeah, that totally goes wrong. But yeah, it's just he does so many ridiculous things just because of how much he cares about her ultimately. But yeah, it's just yeah, and then obviously Chizuru's life is totally disrupted by the fact that she's skipping school, and obviously for a model student like her to be skipping school without any. Can I just mention she's skipping school? Her mother doesn't know she's actually doing it because of the fact that she's got a uniform on. She has her uniform on, and yet at the same time she's going around the city. Oh my god, she's doing kaigui. Ugh. I think the kaigui thing in Japan, in other words, like buying food in your school uniform, I just can't believe it. It really is just like such a culture shock just to see how different something like that is in Japan to here, for example, like not being allowed to buy food in your school uniform. It really is quite something. But anyway, I mean, what I'm trying to say is she just has such little care in the world because of how horrible she's feeling that she would do something like that. And considering how responsible she is usually, and how she always drums responsibility into other people, it just really shows just how contrasting her personality is. Just as a result of the horrible things that have happened. Yeah, I think it's so good that Takeru was there for her. Because ultimately, I mean, when they were searching for her and Takeru went to school and tried to get and then the teachers just basically forced him out just to try and search for Chizuru. I mean, my god, it's just could you imagine what would have happened if he didn't find her? Can I also mention it's very, very interesting that nothing like this. So she's not taken off to some sort of sex industry in Ayamine's route. And I'm going to be honest, I think, after everything that I've said, that's because of Takeru. Because I think that Takeru trying so hard to just to make Chizuru feel better, I think that had the opposite effect and that made her feel worse. And it was only until she was at her lowest point that Takeru could actually, well, make her see the light of day. She wouldn't have done something like that and she wouldn't have fell for something like that if it wasn't for her being pushed down more. And I think that's a very horrible thing to say, considering how kind Takayuki, I was about to say it again. That's the Kimi ga Nozomu Eien protagonist, if you guys don't know. But yeah, yeah. I feel bad for saying that because of how kind he is, but I just kind of get that impression. Anyway, now we have the finale of Chizuru's route and the really, really epic school confrontation. I never expected something like that. It's very interesting seeing Ayamine's personality in this as well, because ultimately she looks like she doesn't care at all. Sometimes when Ayamine is in a situation that really, really needs people, well, really needs you just to act well, just as a human being, even if you don't like the person. Sometimes you just really can't tell what she's thinking and whether she is acting out of kindness or if she's just being a dickhead. But ultimately, there were so many times where it looked like she wasn't caring and she wasn't saying things when she could have. But then we realised that was actually because she ultimately, thought there was no point in saying anything because they wouldn't be listened to. I mean, that horrible PE teacher. It's funny that his name was shortened down to Zoe. I mean, Zoe. In English, that's a girl's name. I just think that's funny considering how this guy was just barking everything. He's just totally taking so much pleasure in being the man and just shouting at these people and just being awful. You can just tell that he was kind of enjoying it. Or at least that's my opinion. It's just funny that his name can be shortened to a girl's name. But yeah, ultimately, Ayamine helped search for Chizuru, in my opinion, just as a human being, but we never realised that until the end. It's so interesting just seeing this crisis, and it was so engaging as well, and the stakes were properly high, because if this hadn't have been solved properly, then ultimately Chizuru would have been maybe made redundant from Hakuryo, which is fucking ridiculous considering everybody in the school and ultimately the bullying not stopping is what caused it. I mean, maybe if the teachers did more, they could have, something could have happened. I mean, like that scene where Takeru was cleaning. There's only so much teachers can do with bullying before they make everything completely worse. I mean, yeah, of course, I get that. But the only thing is, I mean, if it gets to the point where things are serious as what are happening with Chizuru are going on, then them not intervening is a real problem because it won't stop until, I don't know, someone gets pushed over the edge, or they leave, or I don't know, they suicide or something like that. It's very, very tricky situation. But ultimately, I mean, I just think it's totally unfair for Chizuru's position in college in university, sorry, to be considered, even though the people in the school pushed her that way. I mean, that just doesn't really sit well with me. Sorry. Yeah, anyway, yeah, Chizuru and Ayamine's routes are two really quite nice routes, honestly, and I think Chizuru's route was really good just because of how much drama there was, how much emotion there was, and I think Chizuru's personality is really nice, and it's interesting how after all of this, Takeru is just kind of getting her to just relax, not be so strict, and obviously you need to be a perfectionist, but not to the point that it completely ruins your life. So yeah, that's all of that. Anyway, now we are going on to Miki's route. So Miki is kind of one of those characters. I feel... No, I think this applies to Miki and Sumika. I just feel like these are the most normal characters out of the entire series. And I just feel like they are probably some of the most realistic... Well, I don't know, they're just some of the most easy characters for Takeru to get into a relationship with. I don't know, it's just... they just feel a lot more normal than everybody else, which is kind of ironic considering with Miki how fucking mental her dad is, and obviously the dad's rivalry with the other guy with grey hair who's, I don't know, obese. I forgot what his name was. There's Genjosai, which is him. I forgot what the other person was called. It's like Jin something. I don't know. Suiko is the name of the person she's against. It's so sweet though. This just, I mean, Chizuru and Ayamine's routes, they feel like such heavy drama, and then obviously in Miki's route there is drama, of course, but it just kind of feels, a little less rough, and it's more just kind of, well, it just feels less rough, less less painful really. But it is still quite nice because yeah, we do get to learn more about her. What's interesting about Miki's route in the lunchtime scenes is they are quite different in the sense that I remember once, instead of actually going out somewhere random to eat lunch, she lets us have her lunch as well as Sumika and Meiya's lunch. It's just quite interesting because I suppose maybe she didn't really like that these people were cooking so much for him, and yet he wasn't even eating it. I mean, it's only reasonable, but it's just interesting to see that difference. I suppose, and then we have the cooking. She makes something very, very unusual, and then we have the date, obviously. The dates are really quite fun. I mean, I love the scene with Meiya as well. Holy shit, that was so funny. But yeah, it's just also really quite sweet. Going to the aquarium. It's quite funny that Miki is kind of this person that you'd associate as being a human cat. Let's be honest here. I mean, it's kind of misleading because she doesn't have her bell there, but yeah, I mean, she looks like a cat there so much. I love this CG, by the way. But yeah, what's it? Oh, right. Yeah, and then it's funny how she's talking. The only thing she talks about in the aquarium is just, oh yes, how can I eat these fish? How do they go well in cooking? I mean, come on, like that's just. I feel like that is just the least appropriate thing you could talk about in an aquarium of all places. But anyway, after that we have the archery tournament. And interestingly enough, we win the lacrosse game. Even though we don't have Miki, but obviously instead of Miki, we have, what was it? Tokomi is the first name. The second name is like Iroyo. Yes, female Mikoto. Please go to unlimited part at the end of the video. Very, very ironic. But like please go to the part where I talk about unlimited because it is very ironic that. But yeah, it's just surprising that they win without Takeru's intervention. I didn't really expect that. But I suppose I don't know, it's just interesting that it's actually possible. I didn't really think it would be, but oh well. Anyway, the archery is really, really sweet because I suppose at first, there's just the ridiculous stage fright Miki has. I mean, she is so, so talented, but obviously she can't get over it. And it's just so funny. Oh my god, that demon doll! What the fuck was that? And then I suppose there's the cats as well. Takeru is just trying to do anything. I mean, I suppose he's trying to get Miki to be watched by something that she knows won't judge her or something that's not a person and then just gradually amp it up. But then, I mean, the training kind of it's proven how unsuccessful it is when they win the lacrosse match and she just totally shits herself and she just goes, and then obviously she has the argument with Takeru because of just how little Takeru understands what she's going through. Yeah, and this is despite all of the training taking a different aspect. So Takeru actually unintentionally completely predicts the problem Miki is having. Her problem is not really watching people. Well, I suppose her problem is having stage fright, of course. But what happened was in the past she was competing on a really, really high level and then she lost. And then it kind of became all about winning to the point that she forgot her fun. She forgot how much she enjoyed archery and she was just doing it kind of as an obligation. She didn't really, I mean, she did want to do it, but I don't know just how healthy it was for her, honestly. And Takeru is just trying to make Miki train him so that just so that she can remember how fun what she is doing is. It just feels like such an unusual weakness, but at the same time it's really sweet, and I think it is well done. It is. And oh my god, I'm a real fan of the ending as well. Just considering that no, she did not win. But ultimately, the contest was not about winning because ultimately, a lot of these other things that she has done in the past that caused her to become like this, it was all about winning. If you lose, screw you. You're in so much worse of a position than if you would have won. But no, it's not about that. And that's what I suppose that was one of the reasons the father actually orchestrated all of this to happen. But it's really interesting that happened. And if I'm going to be honest, I think it's actually really quite nice that she didn't win. It's just a step in the future. And oh my god, then obviously we have all of the stuff with Miki and Takeru, and Miki just not thinking that it's right for her to confess to Takeru, because ultimately that was the thing that caused her to fail. Because ultimately she had more pressure to win. I just think that romance, oh my god, that part where Takeru confesses to Miki and obviously he hits the bullseye for the first time, it's just so cheesy. But it is really powerful, even if it is cheesy. And yeah, they have such a good relationship after that. Yeah. Don't know if there's anything else I want to say really, but at this point, to be honest, I really liked Miki's overall drama, and I think it's just so sweet. It's just really, really touching how Takeru actually falls in love with her. And let's be honest, ultimately, the reason he falls in love with her here is just because he does so much to help her that he just cares about her. And he just cares about her more and more and more to a point where he can't imagine her doing something, well, her not making the best of a situation just simply because of how much he's rooting for her. But yeah, I don't know. Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So yeah, obviously I loved all of the stuff with Miki's route, but at this point I kind of felt like Muvluv Extra was just becoming a little bit repetitive because ultimately I've been reading the same overall story, and with the 3 side character routes, all of them kind of begin in the same way, in the sense that Takeru has lunch and then he chooses their meal and then he dates them. I mean, it's really, really good that the dates are different. It's just the story did kind of start to get... Okay, the common route stuff started to get boring, but the actual stories with the characters, I was always engaged until the end. Now we have peak fiction. So, firstly, well, this is just joke content now. We have Marimore's ending. What do we learn about Marimore? Oh, the fact that, I don't know, she has omelets in her lunch. She can, she has cherry picked tomatoes. She's good at cooking. Wait for it. She's an absolute fucking demon in bed. No way, this ending was completely worth it because of the fact that we realise the reason why so many boyfriends turn her down. They go to sleep with her. The next morning, they fucking fear for their lives. So, yeah. Yeah, amazing storyline. It was so touching. I mean, if I thought Chizuru's ending was touching, just think about this. Yeah, and then the common ending one. Yeah, we just casually get completely dragged into one of Mikoto's ridiculous adventures. And then the common ending 2 is the one where we don't have enough affection points, so Miki doesn't really trust us with the task of doing helping her win the archery tournament, which seems just so out of her league at first. Yeah, there's really not much to say about all of these endings. But anyway, that is all of Muvluv Extra discussed. There is just one thing I forgot to discuss though. With Chizuru's route, I think the H scene is just so ridiculous because ultimately, like, the entire message of Chizuru's route is just to, well, I suppose in school sense, it's to be responsible, to not do stuff outside of school where the reputation of the school could be at stake. Just to remember what the responsibility of wearing your uniform means. And then you just have all of that. And then they have sex in a classroom with their school uniform on. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, at this point, I think the H scenes were just so ridiculous that it was just kind of comical. Anyway, now what should we talk about first? Yeah, let's keep on talking about Muvluv. What should we do? Oh yeah, let's switch back to the image. Yeah, let's keep on talking about Muvluv. Now we're going to be talking about Muvluv Unlimited and how that makes Extra a lot more interesting. So what I think is really funny, Unlimited kind of reveals... So I've only read the beginning of Unlimited. If you look here, I think I've only done... Yeah, so first session and then the second session. I've only done 2 sessions of Unlimited so far. But yeah, from what I've gathered, Muvluv Extra was an entire dream. It was just a fabrication. It was a completely different world where everything is normal, where not everything is completely destroyed by the beta, and humanity has had a chance to progress in a scenario that's not completely filled with bloodshed and war. Ultimately, obviously, in some countries, there would have been a lot of bloodshed throughout, I don't know, Japan's economic miracle, like the time period of Japan's economic miracle and then the lost decades, but not in Japan. Yeah, it's just a completely different world, and it's very, very interesting that Extra was actually a dream, and it does make sense. I mean, think about all of the unrealistic parts in the plot that you just kind of laughed off because, oh yes, it's Muvluv Extra, this story is ridiculous. Think about, for example, or just anything related to Meiya. Think about how fantastical her house actually was when we tried to break in, and how weird it seemed. How dreamlike it seemed in a way. And then we have all of the stuff with Mikoto, just stuff that is so ridiculous and just in general hard to imagine. I don't know if there's anything else that really sticks out to mind, but those things are just, it's just so interesting that it's all a dream. And especially considering that the Mitsurugi family is just impossibly good at doing things. Like, for example, they built Meiya's mansion in a day. They completely removed like 60 square kilometers or something like that. I swear it was that. I can't remember though. But yeah, of houses in a day, and they completely demolished all of it, and they well, completely removed any trace of them. I mean, there are so many things that were unrealistic, but I was just thinking that either the Mitsurugi family were a family from the future, so it could be explained, or they were just ridiculously advanced, and let's be honest, half of the research that they have is not accessible to the public and to any other scientists, and they're just totally in a league of their own in terms of how advanced they are. That's what I was thinking. I totally got tricked. I didn't suspect that it was a dream for a second, or some sort of fantasy world. But it does make sense, and I like it. And it's going to be really interesting just to see, firstly, who the fuck Kasumi is. Yashiro Kasumi. Who is that? And what the hell happened to Sumika? Just stuff like that makes me really, really excited for Unlimited. And just to see how the plot progresses. And now I would like to talk about, now that we've done Unlimited, the last little thing I wanted to talk about, how Muvluv Extra was after reading Kimi ga Nozomu Eien, because this story is so different if you read Kimi no Zo firstly. I'll tell you why. So, firstly, you see Suzumiya Akane. That's a character in... She's a character in the entirety of Kimi ga Nozomu Eien. And Kimi ga Nozomu Eien's plot, the main character is like 3 years older than Akane. So it's kind of a different generation of Hakuryo students. But yeah, there's shared music. The music in Muvluv is remixed, and some of it sounds a little bit better. But obviously, if I wanted the more classic sounding song, then obviously I go to Kimi ga Nozomu Eien. There are backgrounds that are remade, and the funny thing about the backgrounds is that all of the Muvluv backgrounds are basically exactly the same as the Kimi ga Nozomu Eien backgrounds. But there are just people in them. There are so many people. There's no people in the Kimi ga Nozomu Eien backgrounds, and it's so weird. And as I said before, I had made a folder of Kimi ga Nozomu Eien references. Yeah. You'll recognize... Oh, shit, hang on. Yeah. Shit. Yeah, you'll recognize this character if you've read Kimi ga Nozomu Eien. I mean... I'm sorry, but Hoshino literally appears in one scene, and yet they decided to remake her sprite. Like, why? But, yeah, it's so cool seeing all of the references. And, I love the scene where, where Sumika's hit by Yuko's car, and then we get the introduction to her character and how fucking mad she is. Because, we hear that theme that happens where, spoilers to Kimi ga Nozomu Eien, but where Haruka's hit, well, when Takayuki realizes that Haruka is hit by the car in the Hidagicho train station. I think it's Hidagicho. I get confused. Obviously, shared locations as well. Keiakicho General Hospital, that one's exactly the same. It's just so cool to see. And if I'm going to be honest, don't read Kimi ga Nozomu Eien just because you want to read Muvluv with more perspective. Like, read it because you want to read it. But I will say, a lot of the stuff with Akane is so much easier to picture, and it's just more interesting if you've read Kimi ga Nozomu Eien. Anyway, oh my fucking god, that was a marathon. Like, seriously. That's all of what I wanted to discuss in Muvluv Extra. Now I'm reading Unlimited. I'm fucking hyped for Alternative, of course. I just want to see that opening, man. I love the opening. Yep. And I want to see, right, Unlimited spoiler, but for all of the TSF fighters, I want an actual explanation of why the fuck they chose to make the uniforms so revealing. Okay. Rant over. Well, not really rant, but seriously, why? Apart from this is an Edoge. I want more than that. Anyway, yeah. I'm going to go now. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I definitely enjoyed discussing everything. And I will see you guys in the Muvluv Unlimited discussion video.